I'm Mike Zaneis, President and CEO of the Trustworthy Accountability Group. Today, in our member spotlight, we're going to be talking with Bill Duggan, Group Executive Vice President for the Association of National Advertisers. We're going to be talking about transparency, specifically TAG TrustNet, the transparency utility, and our partnership with the ANA in both their programmatic transparency report and the ongoing transparency benchmark that we're doing with 20 plus marketers. I hope you enjoy. I want to welcome Bill Duggan from the ANA to this member spotlight. Bill, we do this from time to time with partners that we have big projects going on that we want to highlight to the thousands of folks in the TAG community. So thank you for joining us today.
It's an honor to be part of this, Mike. Thank you.
Wonderful. A little different because we often do this with member companies, but the Association of National Advertisers is a trade organization that is near and dear to TAG's heart. One of the three founding trades that created TAG, and the CEO, Bob Liadice, continues to sit on our board of directors. Bill, you and I have worked together for quite a while on a number of projects. We're here today to talk about transparency and the importance of transparency.
And I feel like I have some personal accountability for getting TAG started once upon a time, because I helped lead the ANA White Ops work that I think we did for the first time 10 years ago that uncovered fraud, uncovered high levels of fraud in digital advertising, made my board of directors go nuts. What? How much is it? And kind of the rest is history here.
So I have you to blame for all of this, then I'm doing.
Absolutely, right.
I appreciate it, and I owe you a beer next time I'm in New York. Bill, that's a great intro because you are the group executive vice president at the ANA. Can you tell us quickly what's in your portfolio other than ad fraud and transparency?
Sure. So I'm a former agency guy. I've spent half of my careers on the ad agency side and half at ANA. My remit at ANA is fairly broad. I lead a number of our what we call thought leader initiatives. More recently, that's been the programmatic media transparency study, which I know that we'll talk about in a little while. The media transparency work from 7 or 8 years ago that was very high profile at the time. Ad fraud, so a bunch in media. More recently in media, retail media networks, principal media, which is something that is increasing on the agency side, but also other areas like in-house agencies, procurement. I've done a fair amount of work around DEI. So a broad remit that covers a bunch of topics and thought leadership. And also under my management are a number of our conferences. The multicultural conference is one that's coming up in November, and a bunch of our committees. So I'm very thankful for my gig at ANA. It's a great place to be.
You're a busy man for sure. And I think that's because so many of these topics that you cover, you've been able to sort of have these bombshells. In transparency, it started with the rebates discussion years ago that you mentioned, but you all are continuing this work to open up this opaque supply chain. And so we were very gratified to partner with the ANA on your most recent programmatic transparency report. It came out, really the first look report came out a little over a year ago at Cannes. And that really was a bombshell. And some of the key takeaways, I mean, just the sheer size of the supply chain, the number of SSPs, for example, than an average campaign worked with. What were 2 or 3 of the key findings from that first look report?
Sure. So first, why we did the work. You've already used the term opaque. Programmatic is murky, non-transparent. One of my favorite lines at ANA in my 25 years there almost is, where there's mystery, there's margin. There's a lot of mystery in the programmatic supply chain. I know we've all seen the waterfall charts that shows that an advertiser spends $1, and by the time that money results in an impression seen by the consumer, it could be 25 cents. So we said, what's wrong with this picture? That doesn't happen in traditional media like broadcast or print. So the whole purpose was to make the advertiser's dollar work harder. So to that end, now to answer your question directly, what were some of the key findings? Well, the headline it was something I had never heard of before, made for advertising websites. So, a guy that's been in the industry 40 plus years, a term made for advertising. I give tremendous credit to the project team um, for uncovering the insight that 21% of impressions and 15% of spend was in something called made for advertising websites. We've all been victims of that, Mike. Me, I go to the bottom of CNN.com and I click on something that seems interesting, greatest Super Bowl moments of all time. And there's like an endless parade of clicks to advance content. Ads keep on loading. Again, it was something that I was not aware of. I think most of our members were not. Among the study participants, and there were 21 study participants, there was a
Marketers, you
range.
say when you say participants,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's what
exactly.
makes this research so unique is
Yeah, yeah,
the breadth of
21,
the brands participating.
yeah, yeah, 21 marketers, 17 were brave enough to be mentioned in the report, and we're thankful for that. But the range was between almost nothing to one having 42% of their investment in made for advertising websites. So again, 15% on average. To me, that was a wake-up call to the industry that minimally every advertiser should know the amount of impressions and spend in their media campaign that's in made for advertising websites, and then make the decision whether made for advertising websites are something that work for you or not. For many advertisers, made for advertising websites deliver on all the key metrics. They're cheap, typically 25% cheaper. They have high viewability. They have low fraud. So they look good on many of the metrics that advertisers are pushing agencies for. But you need to question the environment, and the fast rotation of ads might suggest that, even though an ad may be viewable, it doesn't mean that somebody sees it.
Yeah, yeah, and the uniqueness of this study was the granularity of the data and the participation of the marketers. One thing we've talked about is if you don't have the ground truth, the actual data, log level data, it's very hard to kind of open up the kimono and see what's happening. For the ANA, I know you all are really pushing for this access for marketers.
Yeah, log level data is the ultimate truth. All the details of media spend, together with our partners, TAG TrustNet, we're big advocates of log level data.
Yeah, yeah, it's really important. There are certainly challenges there, challenges around contracts and who owns the data, who has access to it. At the end of the day, from a tag perspective, the marketer, it's their data. I think we all know that implicitly, but the contracts generally say that as well. But that doesn't mean necessarily the data flows freely. One of the things that I like most about this work and our partnership. And if you're not familiar with TAG TrustNet, we are a transparency utility that collects log level data, reconciles it throughout a transaction, and then surfaces that to the marketer and allows them to make those decisions. We did this for the programmatic report, and it was a bombshell, but ANA decided that this was too important for your industry and your membership to let it just sort of sit. That's why I really like what the commitment you've made to do this benchmarking project and partner with TrustNet and bring more marketers in to give them a look into their programmatic spend. Can you tell us a little bit about what the benchmark is meant to do?
Sure. So as a foundation, our report in 2023 was released in two waves. You alluded to the first one, what we call First Look, which was June 2023, and then the complete report in December. It's 125 pages. We believe it's written in a fairly simplistic way so that there are key action steps marketers could follow. But the line that I continue to use is you can't just drop a 125-page report and walk away. You need to see whether the industry has made progress on the recommendations in the report. And there were, about a dozen or so recommendations beyond what we just talked about for made for advertising websites. And you need to keep things top of mind. So the purpose of the benchmark is we continue to recruit ANA member companies to participate gratis for them. They contribute their data, and we report back to the industry the findings of that. And the initial benchmark was released in June, this past June, again at Cannes. I only see you, Mike, in the best places. And we've made progress. So made for advertising websites, staying on that as an example, again, was 15% of spend in the 2023 study. According to the benchmark, it was only 4%. So think about the dramatic progress that is from 15% to 4%. Now, just to caveat that, that was about a dozen advertisers. I think the spend levels and impression levels were comparable to the 2023 report, but its initial work, I'm anxious and curious to see whether that number holds up going forward, but I think it will.
And what's amazing is, we talk about percentages, but we're talking about percentages of the entire programmatic market. We're talking about, when you say 15% of that ad spend going down to 4%, let's assume it holds true across the most of marketers. You're talking about changing behavior of billions of dollars in ad spend to make it more effective. I mean, that doesn't happen very often in our industry. This is a massive sea change in marketer behavior. And I don't know if it's marketer behavior. I'm curious if you think it's marketer behavior or their downstream partners, agencies, DSPs, SSPs, sort of making this change.
I think it's got to be both. I'm a huge advocate that marketers need to have internal media expertise. In fact, when we released the original transparency report in 2016, one of our recommendations was that every advertiser of a certain size needs to have a CMO, Chief Media Officer, whether that's the title, whether it's head of media, whether it's SVP, that doesn't really matter. But media has become so complicated and so fragmented that marketers need the internal expertise. Gone are the days, with all due respect to agencies, gone are the days where you could solely rely on your agency to run the media. Now, it's important for agencies to be key partners and allies with their clients, but advertisers need to lead here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and it's great to see that they're doing that. I used to use this analogy when we were starting out TAG. Then you have the educated marketers and you have the uneducated marketers. That's just the reality of life. And when they walk in to an agency, the educated marketer always comes out with a better result than the uneducated marketer. It takes you want both partners in that agency agreement and relationship to be smart about these issues. So thank you for making the marketers smarter and getting them more engaged. What you can see is that we can effectuate change at mass scale when we come together and when we educate, and when the marketers take control, they're going to always do better. So I'm really excited to continue this benchmarking work. Again, we've already got the proof of concept. MFAs are becoming a thing of the past, or at least allowing marketers to make those decisions. And that's just one of the 12 findings, right? We're going to continue to find.
And maybe, I know we're short on time. I'll do a quick 30 seconds on some of the other things. The number of websites. So most people visit about 10 websites on an average day. The average number of websites in a campaign for the 2023 study participants was 44,000. Think about that. There are 44,000 places where the Mike Zaneis brand would want to advertise his products. And when you talk about the long tail, and certainly that could have benefits for some advertiser categories, but we saw from our research that fraud is likely higher, viewability is likely lower, and there's more brand safety issues. So that was another insight. A third insight that I'll mention is to have an SSP strategy that many advertisers don't. They just rely on agencies to figure out SSPs. We saw that the average number in our study was 19, with a high of 55. The study has guidance that should only be about half a dozen or so. So there's a bunch of rich insights in the study. We love vanity links at ANA, ana.net/programmatic, 125 pages, fairly easy to read. in a fairly tight executive summary.
Yeah, well, Bill, thank you so much. One thing we do to keep these kind of fun and light is we always ask our interviewees a series of personal questions. So I hope you will indulge me. I'm not going to ask you all 10 questions. I'm going to focus on food. I don't know why. Maybe I was hungry when I was thinking about this interview. But really quickly, what's your favorite flavor of potato chip?
Oh gosh, I should say I'm not a foodie, Mike. I'm more of a pretzel guy when it comes to snacks. So
Pretzels. All right,
yeah,
there you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Well, pretzels go great with hot dogs. So with a hot dog, ketchup or mustard? Ketchup or mustard?
Well, I'd say a ball game, but it would definitely be mustard, you know.
You are you a Mets fan? Is that
I'm a Met fan. We'll see where they are when this airs, but life looks pretty good right now for the Mets.
yeah, it's tough and pun intended, hopefully as a Mets fan you won't have egg on your face at the end of the season, but what's your favorite type of egg?
My favorite type of egg.
Yeah, how do you like them
We
made?
something I call kitchen sink eggs, where you just
Ooh,
cut up whatever's in the refrigerator, onions, peppers, mushroom. I crack open 4 eggs. I'm a big guy, and just sort of mix everything together with cheese. And I can't order that at a restaurant, kitchen sink eggs, but I can do it in the Duggan kitchen.
there you go. That sounds fantastic. Well, that'd be great after either late night after getting home from a ball game or first thing in the morning. So, Bill, I want to thank you, Bill Duggan, EVP, Group EVP at the ANA.
Yeah, my pleasure,
Thanks.
Mike. Thank you.